This season of Beedie on Eyewear, the podcast, is brought to you in partnership with Orbis UK, a vision charity with a mission to create access to eye care around the world so everyone has a chance to thrive. To find out more or to see how you can get involved, visit orbis.org.uk. Enjoy the show, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and let us know what you think in the comments. You've been to South Africa, you've been to India, you've been to Zambia 3 times, you've been to China, you've been to Ghana, you've been to the Philippines.
We used to keep people in hospital 5 days for a cataract operation.
Yeah, I mean, imagine.
When you say stop, you want it to be
It's right now. Yeah. The Flying Eye Hospital is a big deal. And of course it is, it's very like, ooh la la.
And then, OCT came along and ultrasound and all those sort of things. And it really transformed what we can do.
I found your website, larrybenjaminphotos.com, right?
Thank you.
And it's really, really good.
Pre-COVID, I think we had about 5,000 registered users worldwide.
Okay.
Then COVID happened, and we've now got over 100,000 registered
Wow.
users.
How do you feel about the use of AI within ophthalmology? Welcome to this episode of Beedie on Eyewear, the podcast, the podcast for optical professionals and eyewear lovers. I'm your host, Beedie, optometrist, content creator, and spectacle maker. Let's get into today's episode. Larry Benjamin, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you. I'm
really happy that you're here. I'm happy that we're here to talk about what we're talking about today. You are an ophthalmologist. You've been an ophthalmologist for quite a while.
Yes,
now.
yes.
Yeah.
In 1983 I started.
And you retired in 2019?
For the first time, yeah.
And then you unretired
Yeah.
in 2021. Tell us about that.
So I retired, I think, November or December 19, and then, of course, the world shut down with COVID. And a couple of years later, I went back to work to do 8 months of high-volume cataracts to catch up with the backlog at my old hospital.
Yeah. Is that Stoke Mandeville?
That was Stoke Mandeville. Yeah, that cured me for the need to ever do another cataract in my life. But that was good. Felt I was contributing again, and then I retired again in whenever it was, July
2022, according to my research.
Yeah.
But even though you are retired, you are still what I like to call booked and busy. Yeah, you're still doing a lot of things.
Yes, I don't think it's busy. My family all say I'm too busy, but I don't do as much as I used to. Yes.
What do you get up to these days?
Mainly ophthalmologically, mainly teaching and training. So I work with Orbis, the Flying Eye Hospital, which we're talking about today. And I do courses with the Royal College of Ophthalmologists, teaching basic surgical skills and cataract surgery.
Yeah.
And, 1 or 2 or 3 of those a year. And that keeps me busy.
Do you enjoy teaching?
I do. I love it. I like seeing that light bulb moment when somebody suddenly clicks.
Yeah. I did a bit of research into you, and I saw that you have like an interest in IT and the technological side of medicine.
Yeah.
Where would you say that came from?
So my father was in IT before it was invented, really. Yeah. I was born in South Africa, and he was British, had emigrated there, and we came back in 1961, I think. When I was 5, and he went to night school and learnt machine code, which in those days was how you program computers.
Yeah.
Got into computing, and ever since then I'd have a chronic low dose exposure to IT and what it can do.
Yeah.
And we were always a bit behind in the NHS with the potential. Big business and industry were quite ahead in terms of the use they put IT to. So I saw that all happening. And I tried to introduce what I could into my practice. And it's happening now.
It is. I mean, I saw an interview on Archives of IT that you did. It's like a short clip, and you're speaking about the incremental changes that have happened within technology that has led to advancements within medicine. And I think you give the example of the EMI scanner and the CT scan, and how now you're in a CT scan, there's less exposure, clearer images, and all that sort of stuff. Can we talk about some of these technological advancements within ophthalmology?
Sure. A lot of imaging techniques weren't available when I started training. We had the fundus camera, which took pictures of the back of the eye, and an anterior segment camera, which took pictures of the front of the eye.
And that was that.
And that was it, really.
Yeah.
I was always interested in that sort of thing in imaging. In one of my early jobs, I had a Kodak photographic bursary to develop wide-angle fundus photography with a thing called the panfundoscope, which was a contact lens you put on the eye.
To allow for wide-field imaging.
Yeah,
all right,
and I did a few pictures and angiograms and sort of intraoperative pictures during vitrectomies and that sort of thing using intraocular flash,
wow.
which in those days was a bit unusual. So I've always had an interest in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then, OCT came along and ultrasound and all those sort of things. And it really transformed what we can do.
Yeah.
For the first time, we could see swelling of the macula, the centre part of the retina. And before, we just used to look
Hope it was
front
a
to
bit
back and make things up, really.
Yeah.
You could
It
see
was
some
vibes.
things. Yeah. And now it's so much easier to assess what's going on, which is great.
I think it's amazing that you were kind of like there in sort of the early iterations of ultra wide field imaging. I think I qualified in 2016, and in that time, I find that there has been technological advancements. OCT is so much more widespread. Optos is in loads of different places. So I can only imagine, like, with the career that you've had, you seeing things from the beginning, its inception almost, and seeing them develop now.
In every sphere. We used to keep people in hospital 5 days for a cataract operation.
Yeah, imagine.
And now it's,
that could never happen
not 5
now.
hours now.
Yeah, exactly. You're in and out in 5 hours.
Yeah.
And on the topic of photography, you do a lot of photography.
I do.
Don't you?
It's my pastime now, yeah.
But it's so good. I found your website, larrybenjaminphotos.com, right?
Thank you.
And it's really, really good. Like, there's wildlife, there's nature, there's cities, there's so many things. Like, it really is amazing. Do you still do it?
I do love it. I love all aspects of it.
Yeah.
Technology, the cameras,
Yes.
but also being out there taking pictures in nature.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit like my ophthalmology. I was never really that specialised. Certainly when I trained, we had to do everything.
Yeah.
And as I got older, we had to do less and less because there was more and more to do with
Yeah.
each subspecialty.
Yeah.
But photographically, I'm still pretty kind of general, and I like that.
Yeah.
Landscapes and wildlife mainly, but a lot of other stuff too. Yeah.
I guess when you travel, you've been with Orbis since 2004, and I guess we'll get into that. You get to travel to loads of different places. Do you find that you're able to take time out from doing all the good work to...
A little. I was never able really to take much more time out at the beginning or end of a trip, which some people did, and I regret that a bit. But there was always work to get back to or family to get back to. So I occasionally would get a half day to go and see the Taj Mahal if I was in India, which was great. Always had a camera. But I could have done more. I did quite a lot of ophthalmological photography of conditions and things and videos.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to do more proper photography, and I do that now, really.
Yeah. Now that you're retired and maybe have a bit more time.
And nothing else to do.
Well, what else is there?
7 grandchildren.
Unless you're on...
7,
did you say?
just the 7, yeah.
Just the well, congratulations. Christmases must be crazy
Very
at your
expensive,
house.
yeah.
Oh, expensive.
I hide away at Christmas time.
I was thinking of the noise. You're thinking of the funds. Yeah, both things are true. So Orbis. Oh, actually, before we get to Orbis, because we're on technology, what are your thoughts about artificial intelligence?
I'm not as worried about it as some people. I think, you watch things like Terminator and Terminator 2 and you worry the machines are going to take over, but we're a long way away from sentient machines.
Okay. How long away do you think we are?
I'm always wrong if I say that sort of thing, and Moore's law says that memory doubles every 2 years or whatever it is. But I think to build a sentient computer is a long way away. They're very good at doing what we tell them to do or ask them to do, and artificial intelligence, as it's called now, is very good at amalgamating what's out there. So of course you've got to be careful because a lot of what's out there is wrong, and so you've got to know what the source is and interpret it yourself still. And I think that's part of the big education at the moment is kids at school, for example, that are using AI and ChatGPT to write essays.
Yeah.
The art is knowing when it's right and when it's wrong and how to follow up things and analyse things carefully. That's what makes people different now.
Yeah.
If you just kind of get it to do the work for you, it's you're not learning anything.
What's the point? Yeah. How do you feel about the use of AI within ophthalmology?
Fabulous. Projects like DeepMind with Google and Moorfields analysing routine OCTs. And I think they use a double neural network, which is now the level of a consultant with 20 years experience in terms of interpreting normal OCTs. So pretty good, and it saves a whole lot of time. So I think that's where its usefulness is, really.
I would agree. I think when it comes to AI, I don't like it when it comes to the creative side of things. So AI is making photos or films, or I think that as humans, we should be allowed to create. Like, that's what we're here for, right? And then we also have to do things. So I think AI should more so help us to do things so that we have more time to create rather than the other way around.
Sure.
And I think within ophthalmology, optometry, it's not necessarily, oh, it's going to take our jobs. And now, like, I do like diabetic screening, grading, that sort of thing. It's not that, oh no, now it's going to replace me, but maybe it frees me up to do something else or something more face-to-face.
Yeah, or more complex cases that
Or
it
more
can't.
complex, exactly.
I agree. Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by M2M Eyewear, a London-based eyewear brand offering made-to-measure frames for opticians. To find out more, visit m2meyewear.com. Back to the show. Okay, Orbis. Let's talk about Orbis. So 2004 is when you began your Orbis journey. Yeah. How did that come about?
I first came across them much earlier than that in America when I was at a meeting, and then nothing really happened for a while. But I was taken around the aeroplane when it was at Stansted in 2003 or 2, I can't remember quite when. Alcon were big supporters of Orbis. Yeah. And I was invited along by Alcon to look around the aeroplane as a guest, and it was fascinating. So I applied to join then, and the nice thing about it is that I think in its first iteration, excuse me, it was very much fly into a country, do some surgery and fly out. And it was kind of useful, but not that useful. Okay. But they've morphed into an organisation which is now makes sustainability really important. Yeah. So they ensure that they do a good pre-assessment of an area or a program, put in what's needed, teaching and training of all levels of personnel, and then make sure it's sustainable. And that's what I like about it, that you're leaving behind a system that works or works better,
even if you're not there. Yeah.
I mean, that's really important. That I can do so much, not that much, but if I can teach 3 or 4 other people to do it, they can then teach 3 or 4 other people. And then the ripple effect is that it becomes a sustainable, a self-sustaining system.
Yeah, which I think is important, especially with charity work. You want to leave it better than when you came. You don't want them to be reliant upon you. It's kind of like, great, go forth and prosper.
Yeah, I think the old view of charity was that you kind of lent a bit of your spare time to help those that were less fortunate, and nobody really measured the outcomes very well. So a lot of the old eye camps that used to be done, 200 cataracts in a day, but actually 40% blindness as a result afterwards was not great.
That's crazy.
And now we're worried about outcomes, and we care about standards in everybody, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, I would agree. So with Orbis, and I guess for context for people who don't know, the Flying Eye Hospital is a big deal. And of course it is, it's very like, ooh la la, operating on a plane, obviously not while in flight, but operating on a plane. And also there's the community work that we've spoken about. You've done both multiple times. How would you say those experiences differed?
So with the airplane, you've got the full backup of, a Western modern hospital. It's good facilities, it's got good equipment, well-trained staff. It was more modern. The operating theatre on the airplane was more modern than my own at the hospital in Stoke Mandeville. It just had everything, from 3D TV screens for teaching to everything. Yeah. And so you could do what you liked. One of the nice features of it was that it did enable local doctors and ministers of health and nurses and everyone else to see what was achievable. Okay. So it kind of lifted the people's spirits and morale, and their outlook and their drive to make things better. But it did mean that you could achieve what you set out to do. You had the full facility to do that. In the hospital-based training, I used to go on my own or with an optometrist or an orthoptist and spend a week just doing the program. And so you planned carefully, you thought what you'd need to take, and you'd take it. But outside of that, there was very little support or help. Yeah. So it was a lot more challenging. The facilities were left something to be desired often. But actually that was part of the challenge, is getting used to that and working in an environment where you don't have everything. Exactly. And making the most of it. I remember one program we did in Burkina Faso, which at the time was the second poorest country in the world, where the surgeon was doing extra cap surgery, so making a large cut in the cornea, putting in stitches afterwards, but didn't have the right instrument to remove part of the cataract. So he was expressing the nucleus, which is what you used to do, but then didn't have an instrument, we call it a Simcoe cannula, for putting into the eye and removing the residual, the soft lens matter, as it's called, the remains of the cataract.
So what was you
So he used to put a syringe in with a needle and inject fluid and then withdraw it to try and so the cornea was collapsing several times onto the needle. and all his corneas were
Finished.
steamy and edematous and murky the following day. So we gave him this disposable Simcoe cannula, and magically it was just transformed his surgery. Everyone was 6'6" the next day, not quite. But
which is amazing, because then it's
better.
not so much that there's a problem with him or his technique or his ability.
He just didn't have the equipment.
But you don't have the equipment. Yeah. So then it's like your outcomes are just capped.
Yes, exactly. So in addition, he wasn't using iodine to clean around the eye preoperatively.
So what were they using?
Water and whatever they had, so not much, and so their infection rate was very high.
Right.
So just by giving him some iodine, which is very cheap,
yeah,
his infection rate went down to very, very virtually zero.
Wow.
So two very cheap, simple manoeuvres
easy solutions.
Elevated the standard hugely, really. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Burkina Faso in that example. You've been to South Africa, you've been to India, you've been to Zambia 3 times, you've been to China, you've been to Ghana, you've been to the Philippines. Syria,
lots of places.
You've been to the whole world, it seems. What would you say was your most memorable trip?
Ooh.
Or maybe give me like top 3.
I loved Myanmar, which is the old Burma, because the people there's a high percentage of Buddhist, religion is Buddhism, and very, very spiritual people. Yeah. So calm, and I mean, there were people on street corners with machine guns because there was a military junta in charge of the country, so it was quite frightening.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the people themselves were just lovely, and they were adorable. They their outcomes were great, and they appreciated it, which is not what we go for, but it just, the whole experience was beautiful, really. Yeah. And the country itself, lots of temples and misty landscapes, and so apart from the military, it was a good experience.
Besides that,
that was good. Philippines was also good. Again, lovely people. Yeah. And in fact, I found that around the world, 90% of people are normal and lovely. Yeah. It's only the top 10% who mess things up for people.
Yeah.
So, if you can get over that, and we're going to serve the 90%, the people who have nothing and need to benefit from what we offer. So it's worthwhile going.
So you've got Myanmar, Philippines, and what would you say is the third most memorable trip?
India is fascinating. Yeah. I think I enjoyed. I mean, it's such a different culture and colourful and noisy, and the food is different. Very, very inventive, dedicated people. Yeah. So once they get their mind behind something, they generally achieve it. Yeah. So that seeing that drive was really interesting. But such an enormous country and such poverty. I mean, it was just so diverse. So I enjoyed that. Yeah. I mean, there was something about everywhere I've been I could talk about, but
we'd be here all day. Can we discuss some of the difficulties or limitations that you could say you might have faced on these trips or being in these countries?
I think one of the things that I found relatively early on is that we used to send forms to people for people to fill in about what they'd done, what equipment they had, what they wanted out of the experience.
This is to people who are working on the ground?
So usually the doctors that I'm training or nurses. And it was always interesting to see what came back. One particular example I remember in Vietnam, one surgeon claimed to have done over 500 cataract operations by phacoemulsification. And I got there, and the first case I sat with him, it was quite clear he didn't understand what the machine was doing. I mean, he just didn't know what the foot pedal did properly. Right. He kind of got around it somehow. Yeah. And so you suddenly realise that your perspective of what things are like is very different to other people's. And so I'm very much more circumspect about believing what I read. And I try and talk to people about their experience and their knowledge so that I can tailor the training. Yes. We had to, in that case, go back and have a day of training on the phaco machine again. Yeah. And it, in fact, improved his surgery because he suddenly realised what he was doing.
Yeah.
But that was a real lesson for me, that you've got to... And for teaching, that's all. You've got accreditation for prior learning. In modern parlance, you've got to give people credit for what they know, but you've also got to understand properly what they do know and not what they think they know.
Should we talk about Cybersight?
Yeah.
Because Cybersight is what?
So it's an online learning platform, and it's been going for quite a while, and it gave people in countries with very few facilities and textbooks and libraries, that sort of thing. They had none of that. Facility for going online and looking up things ophthalmological, getting advice from ophthalmologists. Pre-COVID, I think we had about 5,000 registered users worldwide.
Okay.
Then COVID happened, and we've now got over 100,000 registered
Wow.
users. And I think I said to you, in every country of the world bar two, one of which is North Korea.
Well, standards.
And the other, I think, is West Somalia, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. That's impressive.
It is, and it was a ready-made package that happened to be available when COVID happened. So suddenly everybody who had no other facilities latched onto this, and it became the de facto standard for online learning in some ways.
Who can use it?
Anybody. Anyone can register. And it's free. And so I use it if I'm going on a program to be sent information about patients, videos, photos, data. So
in advance of you going.
in advance of this, so I can assess people and select cases for teaching and training. But it's also great for looking things up. There can be remote consultations if someone needs help in Africa and they want an opinion on a strange case. They can get an opinion from different people around the world.
Yeah.
Incredibly useful. So as a learning platform, it's unbeatable, really.
Yeah. I mean, they have like webinars as well, don't they? They have like webinars teaching. You can watch, regular teaching. So me as an optom, just chilling in London, I can just go on there and be like, oh, I wonder what's going on here, and I can just have a look.
There's always something interesting. I still learn a lot, but I always did, really.
A forever student.
Lifelong learning.
Yeah. Exactly. Speaking on the virtual training, there's an article on the Ophthalmologist from 2021 where you talk about the virtual training, and you talk about the fact that these doctors do have basic training, the ones that you're, assisting virtually and things, they have the basics down, and you being able to train them virtually is great because you can kind of just, say, okay, maybe do this instead or try this way, but that it doesn't really replace initial training or the face-to-face training. That it's still important to have both.
So I had a link in Cameroon with a surgeon who I'd met face-to-face 2 or 3 times and worked with him in his operating theatre. But then we actually managed to do operations over the internet. So he was in Cameroon, I was in my study in Milford-on-Sea on the south coast. And I knew what he was like, and I trusted him to do what I suggested.
Yes.
And the big thing with that was the internet. The internet speed in Cameroon was poor, so we had to upgrade their router.
Imagine being frozen halfway through.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine.
Exactly. When you say stop, you want it to be
it's right now. Yeah.
So that was quite nerve-wracking, and I haven't done a lot of that. I think it's still, I much prefer in-person training. But in terms of remote learning, I think it's important. And we've done projects at the college. John Ferris, who
Eyes on Tomorrow.
I'm sure you know John. He did a project where we had students at home with a portable microscope. I was at the college, and I think he was somewhere else, and all 3 groups could talk to each other and learn and do a course together.
Wow.
And that's coming. And I think the business of people travelling to get training now is going to be different, I think, in the future.
Yeah.
Remote learning is going to be much easier, I think.
I think that also ties into what we were talking about before about technology and how advancements in that can essentially benefit the patient, because everything that we're doing, all these tests, these surgeries, is ultimately to enhance patient management and make sure that their outcomes are better. And I think this just helps to do that.
Yes, I mean, as surgeons, we're always, 6/6 unaided, no astigmatism, no loose sutures. We're all very proud. None of that matters to the patient, apart from the 6/6. I mean, they want good measures that they understand. They want to be able to see normally and read. And patient-reported outcome measures are now the currency we use to try and define what we do. So the surgeons are being pushed to the background. It's really important they do well. Yeah. But actually, it's not for them. It's for the patient.
No, I agree. Because, sometimes, like when I was listing patients for cataract surgery, and I'd have a myope, and they would come in and, even when we're signing the consent form, they would take off their glasses to do that. And I would say to them, hey, babe, you can stay myopic. That isn't, you can have myopic outcome. And then nothing changes except you don't have a cataract anymore. Life goes back to normal. And a lot of the time they would be like, oh, no, I want to be emmetropic. Fine. Sometimes they would say, no, actually, I want to stay myopic. But some surgeons don't like that, because then their outcomes appear worse, because now they're 6/12 after cataract surgery, but their N5, which is what they wanted to be without their prescription.
And we look at corrected vision. I think that's the important thing. We want a certain, and we're also learning better to define what our outcomes are. So a -6 myope who wants to stay -6 and does, it's a great outcome.
Yeah,
that counts
because
as
they're
positive.
happy.
Yeah, you've achieved what you set out to do.
Yeah.
If you achieve only -4 and they're unhappy, then that's not a good outcome, even though you can still correct them to 6/6 or whatever. And I agree. I think the problem for me is that we talk a lot nowadays about involving the patient in decision making. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't really understand what it is we're asking them. So when you say, do you want to be ametropic? Well, A, they don't know what ametropic means. So you can describe that and you can define it and you can say. But a lot of them still don't understand that means they can't then read without glasses.
Yeah.
And so, how you get over all that, which we're used to talking about, it's our language and it's our currency. How you involve the patients is, I think the only way to do that is to get to know them, to understand what their needs are properly.
Exactly.
And then talk to them sensibly, but leave the decision to them with sensible help.
Yeah.
And sometimes they say, well, what do you think, doctor? And you say, well, actually, it's one of the places where I do try and give advice. You will benefit from this cataract, all being well, and I would have it done. I think I'm not afraid to do that because I learnt this lesson also the hard way. I had my gallbladder out during COVID.
Okay.
And very painful condition. You won't have had it, I'm sure, yourself. But the second time I was admitted, the surgeon came round, and he was a very young surgeon. He looked about 12.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you can either put up with this and, it'll get better and we'll see if we can treat you conservatively, or you can have the gallbladder out tomorrow. And I said, tomorrow, please. And he came back after the operation. It all went fine.
Yeah.
And he said, well, it's just as well you decided that because it was gangrenous. It was about to burst, and that would have been very different for you.
But did they know that at the time?
No, they didn't. And I thought to myself, why did he leave that decision to me? That really should have been a surgical decision, and he should have advised me that,
Yeah.
So I think sometimes you do need to kind of override the patients.
Guide them.
Guide them, maybe that's a better word, not override.
Yeah, no. I do.
Guide them. Exactly.
I do think that when you're on the other side of things as the patient, you kind of, you get into the mindset more. I think when you're seeing patients over and over again, however many a day, sometimes you can lose. Yeah, you can kind of lose the empathy. I mean, this is not the same, but when I see patients who are presbyopic, so I'm saying to them now, hey babe, the reason you can't see is because you need reading glasses. And to me, it's just such an everyday thing. It's like, babe, people are dying. This is not that deep. Like, it's just a bit of glasses.
But a lot of people around the world are blind because they don't have glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's important.
Yeah. To them, it's this huge deal. And I think there was a time when I realized, like, this is actually a big deal to this person. Like, even if it's not to me, it is to that person. So you still have to take the time and, express it to them, explain it to them, answer the questions they may have, regardless, because they are the patient, you are the practitioner.
I always use the example of the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. You may not have heard of it.
Who and what and where?
It's a play by Tom Stoppard, who died last year.
Oh, R.I.P.
And it's about two characters in Hamlet.
Okay.
And by the way, if you haven't seen Hamnet, the film,
I was talking to someone about this the other day, and they said it was really good.
I saw it yesterday.
Is it worth seeing?
Unbelievable. Anyway, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern don't appear in that film, but they're in Hamlet. And the premise of the play is that for them, they're in Hamlet for 2 minutes and they die, and then that's it.
Oh.
They're incidental to Hamlet.
Okay.
In their play, Hamlet comes on for 2 minutes. And he's off, and that's all you see of him.
Yeah.
And so he's incidental to them, and that's what it's like for patients.
Yeah.
If you see them from their perspective, they come into your operating theatre, but for them it's a huge event, frightening. And so just seeing it from their perspective, as you said, I think is so important.
That is a really good...
good play as well.
Yeah. Is it? What you're going to say?
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead by Tom Stoppard.
All I'm hearing is Are Dead. Okay, we'll write it down later. Yeah. Okay, so... back to Orbis, right? I'm someone watching this and I go, wow, that's so cool. I would love to do that. How can you go about getting involved? What are the different ways you can get involved?
So from a point of view of applying, it's all done through the website by the American head office.
Okay.
So they're based in New York, and you apply through the website. there are, I think, 450 volunteer faculty around the world, so quite a lot of volunteers, and not that many programs in terms of the numbers of volunteers. So nobody gets to do a huge amount. But I think if you're persistent and you're interested, you'll get involved. And we need doctors, nurses, optoms, orthoptists, a whole range of people.
Yeah.
For a while, photographers, but I think they have their own photographer now who's very good. So yeah, worth doing. They tend, from a consultant point of view, they take people with a minimum of 5 years experience.
Oh, why is that?
You can end up in a place in the world where there's very little facility for normal working. The electricity can go off during an operation. They may not have equipment that you think you need.
Yeah.
So coping with that, you need some experience.
Yep.
And I think a minimum of 5 years, I think, is a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
So not something for everyone. I think the last thing surgical charities need is people wanting to help but with no experience. I think the intention's great, but you can't do much.
You don't want to hinder,
On top of that, they used to do attachments for medical students and trainee ophthalmologists who can go and spend a week on the plane. I'm not sure whether that's restarted after COVID, but certainly worth inquiring. Yeah. If people are interested.
Sounds good. Yeah.
You can go and visit a place for a week.
We also spoke last time about donating glasses, right? So how you go about doing that if you wanted to?
So again, the lesson for me was in Burkina Faso, outside the hospital, were 7 boxes of glasses, which had been on the doorstep for 3 or 4 years.
That's crazy.
Covered in dust, no phasimeter to measure what they were. Yeah. No one had used any of them. So all I would ask is that if people donate glasses, make sure that they know where they're going to end up and that someone can actually use them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just a waste of time and resources.
It's just landfill overseas.
Yeah. Having said that, if there is a system that works, it's incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
And so if you know that it's going to end up in a place where there is someone who knows how to use a phasimeter and can measure them and use them for people, then that's great.
And glaze them anew and everything.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
This has been a great time. I'm going to ask you, if you had one piece of advice to give to somebody watching this, what would that be? I
think regular sight tests are underused.
Yep,
I think it's really important. Optometrists do a great job in this country. Not every country has that facility. So I think that's really important. Take it seriously. It's a part of your health that is important to everybody but isn't thought about often.
I agree.
Support your local eye doctor.
Yeah. And how can they support you? Where can they find you?
Where can they find me?
Everywhere.
I'm apparently online.
Yes. You are at LarryBenjaminPhotos.com.
That's my
you should
photography
actually look
website.
at it. It's so good. Like, it's so good.
That's kind of you to say so. Thank you. Yeah. It's enjoyable.
It is, yeah.
I think anybody else's photos are interesting because they're not yours. And so that's
I suppose,
good.
Yeah. It's like seeing it from your eyes, right? Like seeing what you saw, what you thought was interesting enough to capture. And just, I mean, I think it's great.
That's good fun. Good fun.
Yeah.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's been
it's great to be had. If you're still watching, subscribe, follow, all the things so you never ever miss an episode. How did you find it? You did great. Are you breathing?
No, it's good fun.
It's good. You did good. It was a great time. We are going to do some photos and then it won't be as good as your photos, but we'll do some photos and then we'll set you free. Okay.